Hello and welcome. I'm Trip. Welcome back to another K24 FRS build video. If you've been following along, well, you haven't been following along, I'll throw some links up here that you can click on to get up to speed. But in the last video, I dropped in the K24 and my FRS transmission, got everything all mounted, secured. Now we get to work on some of the other detailed stuff like plumbing, wiring, manifolds, stuff like that. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the charging system. And for this project, I have teamed up with RunHard Industries. This is their charging harness meant for a K-series conversion into a FRS BRZ GT86. So if you're doing this swap, this is for you. Here is everything that comes with this kit. We have the grounding wire. This is your alternator wire and your starter wire. And it comes with a little bolt to bolt it to the strut tower. Well, I can't say this is the full kit because it's not done yet. This is prototype stage. We're all planning on adding another grounding strap somewhere, but we need to get the car together and everything on before we pinpoint where exactly we want it. This unit replaces all your OEM cables and just simply bolts into all the factory locations. So there's no modifying or anything you have to do for this. And it's also made to be simple, clutter-free, and just makes your engine bay look that much nicer. These are all handmade to order, made with industrial materials, so they're very strong. It's made out of a Raycom DDR25, and this is a thermal barrier. It's supposed to be able to withstand a good bit of heat. So if you have it running next to your exhaust or anything, it's not gonna burn up. It's not gonna catch on fire. All the terminals are industrial grade, thick boards, and very strong. You're not gonna snap those off or bend them just from taking them off and stuff like that. If you've ever built your own wiring harness and tried to use those flimsy terminals from like the auto parts store, you know those can break very easily. These are cramped, so they won't pull out. So these are very strong, very durable, very pliable, and just overall great quality. Another thing to note is this is the prototype. So I am the guinea pig for this product. I will be doing a lot of testing with this season, have a lot of time attack events, a lot of HPDs, maybe some motocrosses and stuff like that. I'll be doing with this car to abuse it. Make sure it's doing what it's supposed to. Which I don't see how it wouldn't. Everything's pretty nice, pretty high quality, and I doubt I'm going to have any issues out of it. My car is running the full Kpower Industries kit, but this harness should be able to work with any kit, or if you're just piecing a kit together, all the major components should all be the same. So in theory, this harness should work no problems for you, unless your battery's in a different location. So let's get started in putting this thing on. Should be pretty easy. First thing you want to do is the Kpower kit comes with this little terminal block, but if you don't have one, you can order it from them or Amazon. Or that terminal bolts onto the battery tray bracket. You had to bend the end of it down flat and bolt it to it. You might have to drill out the holes a little bit to get the bolts to fit. I think I did. And there should be a wire with a big terminal on it and a green plug. This was your old alternator plug. You do not need that anymore. So you want to bolt that to your new terminal. And the first cable you want to use is the one that has, one terminal has a big hole and the other side has a small hole. A small hole going to your alternator. So this is the alternating cable. You want to put the big end on that terminal. Okay, I got the alternator harness screwed down as a 14mm, and I have it running behind this wire bundle. If you can see, kind of puts it out of the way. On the old wire body harness, I did cut the boot partly off, just the part that goes over the stud. That way it still partially covers this piece. That way your new boot will protect it from any arcing, any sparks that might occur. That fits pretty nicely. Okay, I have it looping around the back of the transmission, and be sure to stay clear of your slave cylinder. Slave cylinder goes here. You don't want it resting on top of it or anything, or in the way of it, so it doesn't actuate properly. So I have it going behind it. Now this port is kind of optional, but I found that there's a little clamp. I don't remember what it went through, if it was a hose or a wiring harness that went in this little clamp. But the harness just happened to fit nicely into it, and just happens to be the perfect route going to my alternator. Or if you don't have that anymore, if you broke it, you can also zip tie it out of the way, as long as it's not flopping around or getting in the way of other things. This is a 10mm nut on my alternator here. Make sure to cover it up when you're done. Next is the starter wire. You know it's the starter wire because the part that goes on the starter has this different style boot, but both sides have pretty big terminals on them. But first, my battery has to go in. Okay, my battery is in. I got the little tray in there which partly covers up your terminal down there. I don't have it mounted or screwed down or anything yet, but I also did forget earlier that the kit also does come with a washer. And also I did take the boot off. Like I said, this is a prototype, so it was like little tiny things that we're still working on, and I forgot that that boot didn't have to be on there. That was my fault. But it goes on your positive terminal, like so. Your little washer go on top of it, and your little fused thingy, I'm not sure what that's called, will go over top of it, and of course screw it down. Okay, I got my 12mm nut tight and secured, and if it's done correctly, that washer is meant to space this wire from the terminal block, so it should be nice and tight and in the middle of these two smaller wires. And I have it going the same way as the other wire behind this wire bundle. There is a little 10mm screw for that wire bundle that you can undo to make running that wire behind it a little easier. I ran it that way it's away from your header and also away from your coolant. I have it wrapped around the back of the transmission, avoiding anything it can get caught on, like the slave cylinder, and pretty much just following the other wire, and have it coming around all the way to the starter. There's a 12 mil. Yeah, another 12 mil. Got my boot on there secured and protected. That way nothing hits it and arcs, causes sparks. Now we get to work on the ground. The ground wire is pretty easy to spot. It's the one that has the little tiny wire coming off of it. Let's throw that on. Okay, the ground wire, I have it going behind these wires, pretty much hugging the battery, going up to the terminal. Put my 12 mil on. You can also connect a little wire bundle here. Okay, next is your little tiny wire here. We'll go to your strut tower. Should be a little hole here. Just screw that thing down. Okay, I got the ground running with the other two wires behind that harness. As you can see, I have all three running in parallel, all going behind the engine. I have it running around the back of the transmission and to the ground. The ground is right above the starter. See it? Should have put the slave cylinder on though. Before I did that, would have been a smarter idea. So I'm probably going to go ahead and do that. Take that back off, put my slave cylinder back on to assure that we have proper clearance, nothing's going to hit it. Okay, now that the slave cylinder is on, you can kind of get a better idea of the routing of that wire. You see how it kind of arcs up to clear the slave cylinder, to clear the nipple on the slave cylinder, just running along the back. By the way, this whole time I've been standing in the engine bay in front of the engine. That's how much room there is up here. I can stand in front of the engine with no problem. Makes working on things a lot easier. Okay, the RunHard Industries power harness charge harness is installed. Everything's routed beautifully and out of the way of everything that's vital. Everything looks good on this side, and if you've done it right, this cover should still fit nice and securely. Ground looks good. Even though the charge harness is installed, we're not completely done yet. Now we gotta do the starter signal wire. This came off the FRS BRZ starter. We do have to modify it slightly to get to work. So this is the part that originally plugged into your BRZ FRS starter. We need to make it where it fits the K20 starter. So I need to cut this thing off. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Okay, I got the little plastic cover off. Now my hands are covered in electrical grease. Got it exposed. I am going to put a little piece of heat shrink tubing over it. Not over the whole thing. Just over some of it. Okay, now I got the end of it with a little bit of heat shrink on it. That way it's not hitting and walking on stuff. You can plug it into your chassis harness. You find your big wire bundle. There should be a white plug on it. That will plug into that. Okay, I got the harness plugged to the starter right there. There's a lot of slack in it, which I don't like. So I'm definitely gonna have to zip tie or tape it up a little bit so it's not as sloppy. But there's one thing left to do for the charging system. I think I left the worst for last. On this little harness, there's this little ground, another ground. And this goes on the transmission. Which I don't even know if you can see it. It's really hard to see. I guess you can see it from this side. But on top of the transmission, there's a bolt you have to come out and ground the harness to. So that's going to be fun.
5 minutes later.
Okay, I got the ground tightened down, secured, and while you're in there, get the two plugs that are on top of the transmission. You can do those two. And if you have anybody with tiny hands, you might enlist them to do the work for you. And it's definitely easier to get it from the passenger side, the exhaust side.
Day 3.
Hey, well, it's been a few days and I got more of the car together. So I had 2 more ground straps made. And same stuff, same material, except smaller. So I'll show you where these two go. As you see, I got my intake manifold on and some of the wiring and stuff like that. For the long grounding strap, one end it's going to go on that bolt on the ABS module when that's partly out. And the other side is going to go to this bolt here inside the block. Okay, I have it bolted in. That one's pretty straightforward. They're both 12 mils. For my little shorter curvy one end's going to go here next to your coolant neck, between that and the header. And the other one is a little bit harder to see. That's going to go here, the 10 mil ground on the firewall down here. But on this side, you want to put this in the bigger terminal. One terminal's fatter than the other. If you notice, I have it kind of angled towards the back of the car and kind of looping around the coolant net. Trying to stay away from it, kind of stay off of it. Even though these are, you know, heat resistant, you still want to stay off things if you can. Now you want to take that 10 mil on the firewall out. That's already a ground. So you're just sharing that ground with another one. Okay, I got my 10 mil bolted in. And it's ran. Simple enough. Out of the way of everything. So it shouldn't interfere with your coolant line. And it should clear your header and exhaust as well. Okay, the charging system is pretty much done. Really, the only thing that's left is the actual plug on the alternator, but that's going to be on my engine harness, which I got the Kpower engine harness. It's pretty nice. It's made in the same material, that Wacom stuff. So if you want your harnesses to match, this is what you want. But if you want one for yourself, this will not be on the market quite right away. I think I'm going to do some testing first. Then a little bit later in the year, they should be still. But if you're interested in this harness, I would give RunHard Industries a follow on Instagram. I'll put a link down here so you can do that. So if you want a custom harness, I would jump in his DMs. But that is it for this video. In the next one, I should be throwing on the rest of the harness. Maybe do some plumbing and other as much stuff on the engine bay as I can. Hopefully get them more tidy up. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, hit the bell button, hit all the buttons, just start hitting buttons. And I'll catch you later. Peace.